everybody. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. For the third time, Hagen Vogel with us. Real estate entrepreneur, husband, and radical American. Well, not a radical American. Let's just say he's a, what are you, Hagen? What kind of an American are you?
Enthused American.
Enthused American. Good. Well, we need enthusiasm on our side, on the right side. I've been trying to convince the folks that watch and listen to the program that, you know, it's okay. We're okay. We're not in a terrible spot, and things are in flux. And I think that it's going to be okay. What's on your mind, man? What's going on?
Yeah, I've been flooded with calls ever since November 3rd and the night of, asking. I'm the voice of calm for most of my friends, my young Republican friends that are out there, texting me, calling me, saying, what's going on? This isn't right. And oh my gosh, we're doomed. But, here we are today. I guess it's the 10th now, and we're only a week in from election, and it's going to be okay. You're exactly right. I think if anything, it's taught us a lot about who we are as a voter demographic and as Americans as a whole. Again, it's the 10th. We have 70 million pissed off Americans, all seeing the same thing that you and I are, but not pissed off enough to wreak havoc among the town we
70 million pissed off Americans, and not one building burned down or one statue toppled, ladies and gentlemen.
No, absolutely not.
So I know you've got some thoughts. I've got, just some high level thoughts about this thing. First of all, Hagen, look, I mean, evidence of the obvious is sufficient in this case. There's no way that 51% of this country voted for Biden and his socialist communist agenda. There's just no way.
No way at all. I mean, I think one thing, and it's so valuable, and I hope everybody really takes this to heart here. We've got something, an asset that, and a belief down to the core that the Democrats just simply don't have, and that is trust in our candidate. And when I say that, I mean, I'm disgruntled, but I'm not letting this hold me down. There's zero weight on my shoulders at this point because, as Republicans, we have faith, we have family, we have friends, we have work that we have to do. And I really think, we've been conditioned to just make the best out of things and live a life that we just have to move forward and provide for our families. And that is goal number one at the end of the day. I've got a wedding next week. I know if Donald Trump swept the board on one night as it should have gone, instead we're going to have to wait. But I know that if it happened November 3rd, I mean, you saw the plywood everywhere and the boards everywhere and the promotion of this unrest that would happen. If we saw this red wave that we knew was coming, never mind the blue wave that the lamestream media has talked about for 6 months now. But having said that, if that were to happen on November 3rd, I don't know what our November 10th would be looking like right now. I've got a wedding in this weekend. I don't know if that would have even happened. You never know. You never know what could have happened. And so we try and look at the best of things. But at the end of the day, our focus is providing for our family, our God, and our friends, and to see people laugh, love, and move on with our lives.
I am struck by, and you mentioned calm and patience and so forth, and I am struck by what we saw over the weekend with President Trump. So, for example, throughout this whole thing, ever since election night on the 3rd, and then especially after the voter fraud and the jumping of these numbers for Biden became apparent, newscasters on live television, it doesn't matter if you're watching Fox or CNN, MSNBC, they all collectively, when Michigan, for example, got those extra 150,000 votes, they all on live television did a collective, whoa, did you see that? Biden just took a huge jump in Michigan, and he just took a huge jump in Georgia, and he just took a huge jump in Pennsylvania. It all happened at the same time. And so two thoughts on that. One is the 150,000 specifically with regards to Michigan. I was looking at that data last weekend, and 150,000 votes came in only for Joe Biden, not one of them for Trump. And then every one of those 150, every one of them, Hagen, every one of those 150,000 votes didn't have any down ballot Democrats punched or chosen on those ballots. Only Biden was chosen. Now, I don't know about you or about anybody out there on the kook left fringe, but that is impossible. There's no way that you can convince me that that's a legitimate dump of a vote for just one candidate and no other Democrat mentioned in any of those ballots. It's absolutely crazy. And then number two, with regards to Trump and his calm, we all could learn a lesson. I think President Trump has seen all of this. He's seen that data in Michigan. He's seen it in Georgia, in Pennsylvania. He's being updated, obviously. And he goes out and he golfs. He takes it easy. And we're all kind of, wow, he's really just kind of, and I saw him at his place down there in Florida on the golf course. There, you mentioned a wedding. There was a young couple down there who had a wedding at Mar-a-Lago, and he was just happened to be strolling by in his golf cart, and they asked him to take a picture with him. And he was just calm and cool and friendly, not a thing on his mind, it appeared at least. So I think he knows how this is going to go with regards to just the blatant fraud that's been perpetrated by the left. That's just my sense of it. And then when you couple all his actions, his sense of calm with the data, with this data that we've seen, and again, knock on wood, I'm the eternal optimist. I think he's gonna have a case, and I think the Supreme Court, and I've called it this week, the great reversal is beginning.
Yes, yeah. I have one question. I just want to know how long the narrative of unity that they're preaching all over the news streams, how long that's going to last when we see some hard proof evidence, unlike the last 4 years, of course, where they contested the election and still don't believe he won fair and square. I find that quite interesting. But yeah, and the optimism is there. And I know that he's calm the same way that he's keeping us calm. And I think that right there is a real leader. We see him tweet. We see the press secretary momentarily until Fox News, of course, cuts her off the air.
Yeah.
And
Neil Cavuto.
Oh yeah, he's a real beauty.
Yeah.
But having said that, it's strange to me that these establishments, big tech, the mainstream media, all believe that we are just going to sit by and accept this when everyone's saying it, as if you say it so many times it suddenly becomes true.
Right.
Biden is not the president-elect. I'm sorry to upset people or to, rain on the parade, but his advisors can't be talking to foreign leaders. I believe that's what got somebody in trouble 4 years ago. They can't be talking to Russia and China about future plans. Mexico has not, I will send a lot of respect to the Mexican president. He has not congratulated Joe Biden or Kamala Harris on a election victory. There's a lot to be said about that. I really do believe so. It's interesting. And this is something new, by the way, that I've never really seen before. And I actually wanted to ask you and get your take. In 2000, we waited 5 weeks and 1 day to ultimately get the accurate and legal results of that election. That 5-week period, what was that climate like? I mean, I imagine, I see even, we're 1 week in now, and the country's trying to move on, meaning, we're going to go ahead and accept this. But hey, we've got 71 million people saying, wait a minute, 0 to 100 ratio, all go for Biden. And exactly like you said, no other local officials, local Democratic officials being marked down as the vote. It's just Joe. It's very convenient. And then, of course, they halt the voting. They see how many votes they need. And then they magically appear. I want to know now. I don't think we have the maturity as a society today to handle something, I think, even 20 years ago. But I wanted to get your take. What was that climate like when we were unsure? we were announced a winner, and then, of course, ultimately it was a different result after.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, you're talking about George Bush and Al Gore. It was
Yes.
a completely different scenario, Hagen. I mean, we were basically waiting on Florida. Florida was the state that had the screw up. And you remember,
Yep.
well, the hanging chads, they were looking at paper ballots, up to bright lights and making sure that every chad was punched properly.
Mm-hmm.
And so it came down to that. Now, there was clearly anxiety on both sides. Who's going to come out the winner and how will this all turn out? I don't recall the left being militant. There certainly weren't any riots that I recall. I don't recall, well, Black Lives Matter didn't exist back then, and Antifa, the idea that Biden says Antifa was or is, didn't exist either at that point. But there might have been some, people on the streets, but there was no massive, there wasn't arson and anarchy. I'll put it that way.
Right.
The Supreme Court came in and ruled. Now, ironically, the people that were on George Bush's team, 3 of the key attorneys that were on that team, Neil Gorsuch, and Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett was there as well in the mix. So she was a young up-and-coming, she was clerking for Antonin Scalia at the time, and she was, I don't know to what extent her role was, but she was in the mix. But Kavanaugh and Gorsuch were heavily involved in all of that. So very interesting turn of events that they might have to be ruling on yet another presidential election that they helped out or that they were involved with before. So that's my take. Florida, they eventually the court ruled it obviously in Bush's favor, and there you go. So a little bit different. This one seems to me more dirty. It's intentional cheating. It's intentional stacking of votes. It's intentional fraud. So it's dirtier.
And when you use the word cheating, I'm sorry to cut you off, but when you use the word cheating, wouldn't you, and this point was made actually by Greg Gutfeld on the 5, big fan of his, and I think he's one of the few greats on Fox News remaining. But he made a great point. Wouldn't you cheat, lie, steal, kill if the opposing team were these evil Nazi narrative, evil, terrible people?
Right,
Wouldn't you lie, cheat, and steal? And I think it plugs way up on top to the media and the narrative that's been spewed upon us ever since even the announcement of Donald Trump coming in to be president of the United States.
Hagen, it's directly related to all. They have never stopped. As soon as Trump won in 2016, the resist movement was born. They came right out immediately. Resist. He's illegitimate. You had newscasters on CNN and MSNBC with a illegitimacy clock. This is how long Trump is going to be illegitimate. And they have never recognized his presidency. You had, Representative Lewis walk out of the inauguration. You have Pelosi ripping up speeches at the State of the Union. They've never stopped resisting this man. What we're seeing right now is an extension and it's the final act of everything they've thrown at him, from Russiagate to Chinagate to the impeachment hoax to everything they've tried to do to this man. This is the capstone to all of it.
Yep, absolutely. And I think, you know what, nothing makes me smile more, and I'm serious. Nothing makes me smile more knowing that there are a vast amount of people, 71, I think more than 71 million people out there that see what's going on, see this anarchy that we've had to deal with for 4 years of Russia, collusion, not my president, so forth and so on. That it hasn't beaten us down. It hasn't beaten us down, and above all, it hasn't beaten Trump down, President Donald Trump, who, by the way, has some significant time left in the office. He could do some damage. By the way, he's packed in 4 years what any president could do in 8 years.
Oh, he's had 2 terms already.
Two terms already. Yeah. I mean, by far. And you know what I think, and I always say this, but 20 years, I think it might take longer than that. 30 years, 40 years down the road, they are going to be writing in the history books about the amazing accomplishments and struggles that every single president comes into the office looking down the barrel of and saying, you know what, he solved some of these things. The Middle East, I mean, just that,
Yeah.
that. Where were those Nobel Peace Prizes he was nominated for?
Right.
4 of them to be exact. It's just little instances like that that I think a lot of people, more than half of America, see, they respect, and they can get behind the fact that this is a guy that is rooting for us. He's not paid by anybody. He's not helping anybody out. He didn't have to do this. He did this for us. And we realize that. And the fight that we saw from him, they talk about incompetency. I mean, you and I could both go on for hours about incompetency on the blue here, and they're a great leader that they have now.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Joe, not Kamala Harris. But having said that, the fight that he put in the last 3-4 weeks of his campaign for re-election, I mean, it's admirable. It's admirable. And I think we saw that fight. And we sat there and we said, you know what? This guy's up 3-4 in the morning talking to thousands of people about being American, being patriotic, holding ourselves true to our values, and God forbid, stick to the Constitution. The thing that makes us so special. The thing that makes us so special. And we saw that, and you know what? Knowing that every day he's in that office, fighting like he's done, and that willpower every single day, it absolutely put my mind at ease about everything. And it still does. I'm not worried even remotely.
There's no other person that comes to my mind, and I can go down the list of any politician, any public figure, celebrity, whomever. I don't know anybody who could handle what he's been through these last 3.5, almost 4 years. I don't think anybody else could have taken it. And the only conclusion I can draw, and some people on the left, I take darts for this, but I think divine providence. I think President Trump has been chosen for this time, for these issues, and at this place in our republic. And I think that's exactly why he's here. God very rarely calls. In fact, God has never called a perfect man or woman to do his will. We're all flawed. We all have our own baggage and so forth. And Trump is the one who's been chosen to lead at this time for these issues. And I believe it in my soul. I've done shows on that topic, and no one can convince me otherwise.
Absolutely. And to keep him safe for this long too. I know my family, myself, my wife, we pray for that family, the Trump family, you wouldn't believe.
Oh yeah.
The targets on their back is astronomical. But again, there is no other person I would want right there fighting for us than Donald Trump. There's just no other person. And you're right. You can't convince me otherwise.
What do you got as far as, as we look back over the last few weeks since we've been together on the program here, Hagen, what you got any winners and losers in your view? Who's been a loser, who's been the winner so far as you go and you think about the last couple of weeks?
Well, losers right off the bat come to mind to me, especially, the past 10 days, the past 5 days, we've seen the biggest loser, I think, of all, and I think a lot of viewers can agree with me, is the integrity of our election system. Just the fact that we have 1,000 people questioning or being suspicious, and rightfully so, like you said. Yep. There is very, very fishy things going on, and it turns out that they all happen to favor one candidate. And we sit back and we think, wait a minute, this is not right. So even more than one person, I say, or 1,000, I just said, but that's an issue. We should confidently be able to walk in on election day. This happens every 4 years. We have plenty of time to prep for something like this, pandemic or not. And we should be confident in saying, you know what, I'm going to walk in, I'm going to vote, and that was my vote. And then I get to go home and watch on television. Now, I don't think that'll be much of a norm anymore because of the distrust, but I should be able to go and watch those votes come in, be tabulated, and big letters, winner, and that is the winner. Yep. And I want to trust those numbers. What we've seen now is something a lot different, and even starkly different than what you were talking about with the 2000 election.
Yep.
That to me is the biggest loser, is the integrity of our election. And I think it's sad. I think it's a sad day. Now, having said that, a winner, the caveat to that, the winner is the American people. I think we saw an unbelievable amount of people dead, fake, filled out or not, whatever the case may be, we saw a huge amount of people, voters, come out and give their voice and say, you know what, I'm going to wait in line for 4 hours, 5 hours. I'm going to cast my vote, rain or shine, snow, whatever the case may be. I felt that was somewhat of a patriotic moment for us. I mean, I stood in line for 3 hours. Let me tell you, I never felt so happy to do so. And it really, when I left the polling station, I felt so great about this country. That's why these irregularities really hack us off in some ways. And I think everybody. So with that, that's my winner loser for the integrity. Now,
Gotcha.
I will say recently, Fox News. Oh my gosh, what is happening with Fox News? I'll tell you one thing. I don't watch it anymore. Is it because I've chosen to just? It's such a waste of time. I think if anything, what we've seen is we've wasted a lot of time looking at watching CNN or Fox News. I'm the first one to tell you, I've wasted at least 2 or 3 hours of my night watching my recordings on Fox News and getting updated on the daily news. And let me tell you, of course, I read all news avenues, and I think it's very important to always get both sides of any argument. Having said that, what we've learned is what a waste of time that was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's awfully hard for me not to watch Tucker Carlson, but I agree with you that the election coverage night and Bret Bair put his foot in it, he asked for, opinions about, what do you think of the show, this and that in a recent tweet. And, you brought it up to me as we were talking prior to the show that, there was an avalanche of hate and he deleted the tweet because there was so much hate and controversy associated.
And he didn't say anything bad. He said, tune into me and Martha.
Yeah, right. He didn't say anything bad. Right.
He had to delete that tweet. I mean,
for a minute. Yeah, no, go ahead.
Well, that's not good. It's not good.
No.
I mean, 2 million viewers down since election night. We saw when we reported on the fact that their numbers had been record breaking on things like when this president speaks, their coverage on his speeches, so forth and so on.
Right.
They're going to see a big downturn. We see Newsmax coming in hot with a reliable source of news that's unbiased, unfavored, and doesn't have an agenda. And I think we're going to see a whole new wave of media going forward when it comes to politics and elections in our future.
Well, I think you're right. And I think you're onto something. I've turned into Newsmax and OANN, One American News Network, and, so forth. So, my winner this week are the dead that have been risen to life to vote. I mean, talk about winners, Hagen. I mean, come on. I'm wondering if Elvis casted a vote. He's a Republican. I figured he might want to come in and join we had Joe Frazier vote. He came back, the father of Will Smith, who's been dead for several years. We had members of the Buffalo Soldiers come out and vote for Biden. I mean, it's incredible. And that's my list of winners, Hagen.
Well, I'll tell you, when you're as strong a candidate as Joe Biden and has the track record he has, I mean, it can cause miracles. His
charisma can raise people from the dead. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's cringeworthy. Politics aside, views aside. Oh my gosh, I cannot handle him screaming at me any longer.
And terrible. Kamala's voice. I didn't think I would live to see any female take the role from Hillary as most despised female politician, but Kamala Harris
jumps right up there. Of course, they're on the Times. She'll be on Cosmo and People, and she'll be celebrated, and all the way down to what she wears. But let's not forget what in my opinion, would be the classiest first lady I think we've ever had.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, more than 5 languages, can hold conversations with other leaders. It's such a strong presence, a classy presence, and really brought class to the White House.
Right.
And I think that's something to be celebrated, something to be said.
Yeah. Good points, all. Well, hey, listen, Hagen. As always, it's always good to have you on the show. I will end where we began, and I'll give you a chance to say some closing words and give a final thought or two as well. But for all of the folks out there watching and waiting, I know that we all feel a sense of anxiety. I have felt a sense of anxiety ever since the fraud began to become apparent, and all of these thousands upon hundreds of thousands of votes for only Joe Biden began to come out. I certainly had and still do, I admit it, a little bit of anxiety about this. I have faith, though, that, Trump, love him or hate him, he's very rarely wrong. Everything that he has said, almost everything, words are important, almost everything the guy says comes true. And I think that what, he has said about this fraud is going to come true. I think that Rudy Giuliani, Rick Grenell, Ronna McDaniel, all of his team of lawyers and attorneys working on this are going to present a hearty case to the Supreme Court. And I think that they will make some changes to what we see currently. So it's as if God has said, look, yeah, you should be feeling anxiety because the republic that could be very, very really, very, very seriously in peril if this other side wins. So yeah, feel some anxiety, because when you come out on the other side of this and it's all okay, you're going to cherish, you're going to relish, you're going to cling to and love and respect the republic even more. Not that we ever didn't, but our devotion to the republic will be, I think, even it'll be deeper and more robust. And I think that's part of what we have to look forward to with regards to coming out on the other side of this. I think there's every reason to be hopeful. I can't imagine that Trump and his team would be leading us down this road if there wasn't significant evidence of the obvious of the fraud. So those are my closing thoughts. What about you?
Very well said. I'll just piggyback off that. I will say, guys, listeners out there, Republicans, people who voted for Donald Trump, people who don't identify as a Republican, but are Trump supporters, have faith in him. What he says, he acts upon and does. He keeps his word. He keeps his promises. And what I'll say is this, and just to touch base on a point that I had earlier, we have a candidate, a leader that we can truly say that we trust. We know he will fight tooth and nail to shed light on what I think is an outdated, flawed, and easily manipulated system that we have. And it's unfortunate for the American people. But having said that, he will do the right thing. The calmness that you were talking about that he's holding right now is strategic. We're at a time where it is so important to not let this movement, this deep and terrible dark movement, come across the only truly free civilization that is left on this earth. It's so important to just live on, enjoy these days, enjoy today, enjoy tomorrow, have faith, and love your family, love your God, and enjoy, smile. It's okay to smile, because guess what? Win or lose, we will always make the best of any situation, and especially with God and our country, our flag behind us.
You bet. Well said, my friend. Well said. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Hagen Vogel, Doug Billings, right here on the right side. And we appreciate the time that you take to be with us. We really do. Reminding you, as always, you have a pack of blessings on your back, and don't forget to take inventory of those blessings. They exist and they're real. We're going to see everything as a gift. We choose to, because that's what we do on the right side. Every adversity, every challenge, and every victory are all seen as gifts. And when we do that, we become more grateful, and grateful people are the happiest people on the planet. Thanks for watching. Make sure that you subscribe to the program, The Right Side with Doug Billings. We're on all of the major podcast platforms. So just choose your favorite platform, subscribe to us, and please head over to YouTube and subscribe to the channels over there as well as Twitter and Facebook. You can find Hagen and I both on Twitter, and we'll see you the next time. We appreciate it, and we appreciate you. God bless.